Yesterday, there was another major tragedy at another grade school. It's not the first time this has happened, and it's horrifying. 19 children lost their lives. 2 adults. Because a crazy person decided that he was going to take the lives of these children. And that's really it. A crazy person committed a very serious crime against children. I don't know how you stop these things. There are many solutions. There are many questions. There are many proposed solutions. It's hard to know exactly which is going to work. On the left, you have calls for gun control. Joe Biden came out making outright absurd statements. And then on the right, you have people actually saying, loosen the gun laws, give teachers guns. I don't think there's an answer that anyone's going to be happy with. And I especially think that with 3D printed guns, any argument about gun control is already out the window. That's what I want to talk to you about today. Joe Biden's response to this and why I think it's pointless. Why I think the cat is out of the bag. For everybody who wants to talk about gun control, we can have our moral and philosophical arguments. We can have our arguments about rights. I tweeted just a moment ago, people breaking the law is no excuse for stripping law-abiding citizens of their rights. Now, you can make every argument in the world about how we need to have background checks or we need to restrict certain types of weapons. It will mean nothing in the long run because 3D printed guns exist. And further, people could always make weapons at home. Now, I suppose the argument is that it's too easy to go to a gun store and purchase a weapon. But they have background checks at gun stores. So right now, as we're seeing all of these people come out and they're saying we need gun control, we need universal background checks. We already have background checks. It's called NICS. What is it? The national, it's a criminal check system or something like that. When you go to a gun store, you try to buy a weapon, you have to fill out a form. They run a check on you. For new gun buyers, surprise, surprise. Let's go back to the pandemic and the riots, when liberals were trying to buy guns and they were shocked at how difficult it was. My friends, you can't just walk in and say, 1 gun, please, and have them hand it to you. Now, if you're a resident of certain states with constitutional carry, it's a bit easier. Good. You see, the issue right now is very simply put, 3D printed guns. Yeah, the cat's out of the bag. Your arguments make no sense. So let's do this. Let's take a look at what Joe Biden had to say about what happened in Texas. And of course, anybody who's trying to look, everybody thinks this is bad. The left wants to come out and attack conservatives on guns and everything. And it's like, where are you coming from? You look, there's a trend right now on Twitter. It says, it's like pro-life, yeah, right, or something like that, or pro-life, my ass, or something like that. Dude, conservatives don't want kids being killed. That is a pathetic straw man argument that does nothing. And I fully recognize Democrats don't want children killed either. The problem is when you have Democrats making these 2 arguments. One, gun control will stop this. It won't. And the second is we should take away the rights of law-abiding citizens because sometimes people break the law. No, you can't. I don't want lunatics to have these weapons. Give me a real solution. Right now, what they're proposing, it's like Steve Kerr, whatever, like, we got to pass H.R. 8, federal background checks. We already got background checks at gun stores. You're talking about Cletus and Billy Joe up in the mountains of West Virginia? That's where you want a background check? That's not the issue. Furthermore, when it comes to these incidents, most shootings, homicides are committed by handguns. Most deaths are suicides. Like, yeah, issues exist, but the Democrats are not actually addressing the problem. And that is the most frustrating thing to me. And I'll break it down for you. Seriously. Joe Biden addresses Texas school massacre. When in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? Gun lobby? It's people. It's people like me, Joe. It's not the lobby. This I cannot stand. If you know someone who's a Democrat, please tell them this. It is not a lobby that is making this happen. You have regular Americans, liberal and conservative. There are pro-gun liberals who vote Democrat as well. I think the majority of this country is in favor of gun rights. Now, they come out and they say, but common sense gun reform. Well, it ain't coming from them. It's not coming from Joe Biden. If you want to come to me and have a conversation, you better be able to tell me the basics of what a weapon is. Because when CNN talks about fully semi-automatic, or when they try to ban semi-automatic weapons, which means one trigger pull, one bullet, because they think semi-auto means full auto. Not only that, full auto. If somebody was trying to commit a crime and they were dumb and they just sprayed, they'd run out of bullets in seconds and it'd be over. These people do not understand. They do not understand what they're advocating for, and it will only make the problems worse when you have an emotional reaction to something like this. A somber and angry Joe Biden mourned the loss of life in the Texas elementary school massacre while angrily calling out the gun lobby and manufacturers, saying that it was time to act. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name do we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done? And what is that, Joe Biden? Address 3D printed guns. Address police shootings. I just saw a video where a guy gets pulled over and the cop says, show me your hands. And before the guy can move, he gets shot. I saw a video, you remember this one, where a cop pulls over a guy, and these are black men, by the way. And the cop says, step out of the vehicle. And then he says, show me your ID. And the guy says, okay, turns to his car, and the cop shoots him. I'm not saying all cops are bad. I'm saying you think the solution to these problems is to give the government weapons and allow only them to have them? Sorry. That's fascism, right? Isn't it? No? Okay, sure, whatever. Biden didn't specifically outline steps the White House plans to take, but signaled to focus on assault weapons. What is that? You see, this is what they do. They come out, they offer no solutions. And then all of these angry Democrat people scream and lose their minds, and they have no idea how to actually solve this problem. He said, if an 18-year-old can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons, it's just wrong. What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on. For God's sake, it's just sick. Joe Biden is so dumb that he thinks, now I'm sorry, look, I know I want Democrats to watch this. Kevlar does not stop rifle rounds. This is one of the most frustrating things. I am not an expert on guns. I did not grow up with guns. Did not. I've been to foreign countries in civil conflict, and I've had to go through security training about what kind of vests we need to wear. So when we're in the U.S., in, say, a dangerous neighborhood in the Midwest, Chicago, for instance, you wear, like level 3 armor or 3A or whatever. You want to stop 45, 22, 9mm, etc. Kevlar can do that. Who is trying to shoot a deer with handgun rounds or with a carbine, with a carbine, however you pronounce it? See, I'm not even a gun expert. No one is taking like an AR chambered in 9mm, shoot at deer. Deer wearing Kevlar. Kevlar would not do anything. I mean, look, you might use 450 Bushmaster. In fact, I own some. I have an AR style rifle chambered in Bushmaster 450. And these are larger rounds you can't hold that many of, and they are going to shred a deer. Why would a deer be wearing Kevlar? It's a stupid point that makes no sense. It makes none whatsoever. If you're going to be using any kind of deer hunting round, it's going to shred that Kevlar. Just watch these videos. Just please do me the favor. There was a guy, I watched one video, it was fantastic. He says, how many Kevlar vests do you need to stop a 7.62 rifle round? And I think it was 7. Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on. Assault weapon. Let's address assault weapon. That doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless completely. Anybody who tries to hunt a deer with like I don't even think you'd use 5.56. Okay, so let's for those that aren't familiar. Typically, when you hear about an AR-15, it is chambered in the round 5.56. 5.56 and 2.23 are interchangeable for the most part, but I believe 5.56 has higher chamber pressure. Again, not a gun expert. Gun experts, comment below. Correct the record. I'm pretty sure you're not going to be using it to hunt deer, because if you hurt the deer or scare it, you get the adrenaline rush. This is what I'm told. And furthermore, when Joe Biden says stuff like, what do you need that many rounds for? If you need 10 rounds to hunt a deer, then you're terrible at hunting. Yeah. So I think a lot of people would use like a bolt action 450, and these, they hold like 3, technically 4. You get 1 in the chamber, you get 3 in the magazine, because, right, you hit the deer once, you're done, right? So what I have there, I'm not going deer hunting anytime soon, but I might, maybe someone wants to go out hunting and we'll go hunting. But it's polymer tip, so it expands and ends the deer quickly. He says, what do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? There it is, Joe. That's it. Yes, people. Because sometimes people are dangerous. Sometimes people are scary, like this guy. So let's entertain their worldview. We ban guns. Let's just say we ban them all, every single one. Homeboy buys a 3D printer, prints the parts that he needs. There's been tremendous advancements in 3D printed technology. Maybe he's got a milling machine at home or something. You only need some metal parts, and now all of a sudden there's a guy walking around with guns, and we're like, how did he get them? How did he do it? Because you can. Because illegal guns exist. Gun laws aren't going to change this. It's absolutely insane that Joe Biden says this stupid garbage nonsense. Biden's bizarre deer and Kevlar statement has internet shaking its head in disbelief. He keeps saying it. The deer would not need Kevlar, Joe. The deer would need ceramic plate. And even then, I don't know how many plates you can get around a deer. That's nonsense. Let's address some of the comments made by these liberal types. This is so just pulling up the more prominent tweets that are going viral. Let's address them. Darnell Roberts. He is not a particularly prominent account, but he did get 130 retweets. So this one was put before me. He said, the Joe Biden deer and Kevlar vest statement wasn't a joke. He didn't deliver it like a joke. It's actually an excellent point. Nobody in the world needs to own an assault weapon. Nobody, not one person. It serves one purpose: kill people. People do need to own weapons. Assault weapon doesn't mean anything, so I have no idea what you're talking about when you say that. Are you talking about a pistol grip on a Ruger 1022 or something? Because apparently that makes it assault weapon. I don't know. Neither do you. It's not an excellent point that Joe Biden brought up deer wearing Kevlar vests, because any rifle used to hunt deer is going to penetrate that Kevlar vest. That's stupid. Not a good point at all. Here's Jesse Case, verified with 8,224 retweets, using a document from 1789 to ban abortion because it isn't mentioned, but allow semi-automatic rifles in Kevlar is such next level effery that the brain starts to black out. Non sequitur. I have no idea what point you're trying to make. Me personally, I'm pro-choice and pro-gun, so I have no idea what you're saying. Seriously, what's your point? More nonsense. Here we go. Here's another one. Melvin White, 154 retweets. Again, I'm not sure how prominent these individuals are, but they're getting a lot of retweets. My daughter is supposed to start school in August. I just had a conversation with my wife about purchasing a Kevlar backpack. F the GOP and any other POS who thinks your rights should not be infringed, even if it means elementary school children die. F you. Kevlar does not stop rifle rounds. I'll say it again for those in the back. A Kevlar vest will not protect you from rifle rounds. In fact, even if you get ceramic plates, I think they can withstand one. So when you come out and scream about AR-15s, then come out and scream about buying Kevlar, you are doing nothing to address the actual issue. And it only shows that these people have no idea what they're talking about. Second, homeschool your kids. For a variety of reasons, everyone should be homeschooling their kids. But I just want to address this. He says, your rights should not be infringed, even if it means elementary school children will die. No amount of children dying should justify someone having their rights taken away. That's just it. You do not get to strip someone of their human rights because of harm to children. Do you want to have a conversation about trans kids and the harm that will befall them by them being sterilized by puberty blockers, by them being castrated, or by girls getting top surgery? You want to talk about their rights or infringements or what's happening to these kids? Do you want to strip someone's rights? Let's have that conversation. No, I don't think you're ready to have that conversation. I don't want kids to die. Quite the opposite. I want kids to live full, normal, and healthy lives, to become adults, because that's the important thing. But bad things from bad people does not give you the right to take away the rights of good people who have done nothing wrong. Period. That's it. You're saying because sometimes there are bad people, no one should be allowed to do something. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. It does not. F you. If you want to take away other people's rights, let's have that conversation. We can talk about where your rights in the Constitution end. Is that what you want to do? We want to figure out which groups of people are not allowed to have certain rights. You don't want to play that game. You really, really don't. Here we go. Stuart Henderson. He's quoting everyone's favorite Aaron Rupar. Ted Cruz proposes armed cops in elementary schools to deter school shootings. Perhaps there should be a single point of entry. Two points of entry with guards. Perhaps most schools don't deal with this, and that school shootings are exceedingly rare. Out of the hundreds of thousands of schools in the country, how often does this happen? I think people need to realize that arming every teacher or putting a security guard in every school is a waste of time, energy, and money, because sometimes bad things happen. And how do you solve for this? Maybe you can't, because some people are just crazy. Stuart Henderson says, why not just mandate Kevlar vests on all the children? I mean, if you're so determined to ensure every mass murderer has a smooth path to gun ownership, how will you stop a mass murderer from getting an illegal gun off the streets of Chicago? Your gun law is not doing it now. Democrats, please. Chicago already has laws on this. It's not doing anything. When you come out and you vomit nonsense, you're not solving the problem I would like to see solved as well. Let's say it again for those in the back. Kevlar vests on children. Kevlar will not stop a rifle round. But they have no idea what they're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced to you, for those that aren't familiar, what you would need to buy for your children if you really wanted them to have vests. It's called FRAS, Flexible Rifle Armor System. In fact, it's concealable. Wonderful. A series of ceramic plates that can protect you from 223, 556, and 762 by 39. Well, it's I believe it's an AK round. I could be wrong. Flexible rifle armor panels provide full front, rear, and side coverage while still being lighter than most traditional rifle plates. Guaranteed to be the most comfortable rifle protection you have ever worn or your money back. Now this can protect you against a couple 556. It's not Kevlar. It's ceramic plates. Now, the FRAS stuff's actually brilliant technology. It is a series of hexagonal ceramic plates. The issue with ceramic armor, these big plates you carry, because I've had to wear this before when I was in Thailand. You have these big plates to protect your vital organs. They're thick, they're heavy, and they can withstand a single round before shattering. Maybe more if you're lucky, depending on how it works out. The FRAS stuff, my understanding is it can withstand multiple hits because of the different ceramic plates, discs that are in it. But hopefully this has been enlightening to all of you. This is Safe Life Defense, a flexible rifle armor system. You want to talk about getting your kids armor? Make sure you're doing it right, because Kevlar ain't going to do anything if someone comes in with a rifle. Some people have said, what if we give teachers guns? Still, the question is, how often does this happen? Once is too many times, for real. But are we going to solve this problem by teachers walking around armed? Probably not. Because, I mean, maybe, but I don't know if every teacher having a gun solves the issue when the issue is rare, exceedingly rare, but we hyper-focus on it. Maybe the answer is just security guards. That's really it. I mean, I'll tell you this, Parkland had security. What did that guy do? That guy ran away, didn't he? Is that what happened? What's the point? There's no real solutions. The problem is that sometimes crazy people do crazy things. No amount of stripping people's rights will solve anything. Which brings me to this. Here's the gun control bill Steve Kerr called on the Senate to pass, because Steve Kerr doesn't have Google. H.R. 8, Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2019. It says to require a background check for every firearm sale. What does that mean? It actually says in the bottom, it cannot be construed to directly or indirectly create, establish, or authorize a national firearms registry or interfere with the authority of a state under Section 927, Title 18, to enact a law on the same subject matter as this act. Why mandate everybody go through a background check for every sale? Serious question. Why? When you buy a weapon, you go through the NICS background check when you buy it from a store. Now, up in the hills of West Virginia, if a family member wants to sell a weapon to another family member, they don't need to. If you sell a weapon to somebody and they are a criminal or would not pass a background check, you've committed a felony. That's why I always say, for most people, you want to go through an FFL anyway. Go there and spend the $50 to do the transfer. It's worth it. Now, I certainly recognize why you can't sell a felon a weapon. Through due process, a person can lose their right to keep and bear arms. Okay, I get it. I believe at a certain point, people should get their rights back, and I've heard stories people actually do, but you can't. So if you say you want to sell a weapon privately, and you don't realize you're selling it to somebody who's mentally ill, on drugs, or a felon, that's your fault. You are in trouble, yes, and you should be. Now, how do you check for that stuff? Maybe you spend the $50 to go to an FFL and get it done properly, and then you're making sure you're not selling to a drug addict or something like that. However, if you're selling to a family member, there's still some risk. I mean, you might not know if your family member is doing drugs or something, but if you're selling to a family member, why should Cletus up in rural West Virginia have to go all the way to the city because he wants to hand a weapon to his brother Billy Joe because they got a bear problem or a critter problem? You see, that's the issue. We're not dealing with Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel, leaving the mountains after buying a gun from his uncle to go to a school. That's not what's happening. People are legally acquiring these guns. The only solution Democrats could ever propose is that we ban guns outright, which you can't do. Banning guns outright wouldn't even stop illegal weapons. It would certainly make it harder. So ultimately, there is no real solution. I should say the only end result Democrats would move towards is banning all guns. It ain't going to happen. It's not possible. You're not going to be able to stop 3D printed guns. There are 3D printed guns. One of the originals, it was called the Liberator, and they've well advanced beyond this now. There are 3D printed guns that are entirely made of 3D printed materials, not even metal. I think just the firing pin, which is like a thumbtack. You can't do anything about it. You cannot do anything about it. Pass all the laws you want. People who want to commit crimes will be able to do so. You want to ban guns? You want background checks? Fine. Then law-abiding citizens won't have them. Government will, and criminals will. You know, I hear from Democrats all the time, they say, no one's trying to take your guns away. We're just trying to get rid of assault weapons, blah, blah, blah. In each different state that wants to ban them, but assault weapon means something different. I'm pretty sure at one point a Glock 17 was classified as an assault weapon because it had more than 10 rounds in the magazine. Yeah, 17. And it's meaningless. They're arbitrary words. Democrats have no idea what they're talking about. They're reacting emotionally, and they won't ever solve this problem. Period. That's it. You want to debate me? Fine. There's better people to debate. Colleen Noir, for instance, he's going to be he's a lawyer. I believe he's a lawyer too, right? You're not going to win a debate. David Hogg tweeted he would love to sit down with his opponents and have a real conversation. I invited him several times. Please come on the show. I tweeted at him. He doesn't have to come on the show. So he didn't respond. But he did a show with Matt Walsh, who was an establishment shill. Yeah, we're not going to have a real conversation on legitimate issues so long as the people who are leading the charge are sophists who don't want real conversations around gun issues. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.